Hi, my name is Gideon. I'm also known as Gideon Slight. Welcome to my studio, and I'm your creatively fit coach. So join me now. Hi everyone. I'm excited to share with you guys just a little bit of how I create some of my homemade, handmade papers. And there's a number of videos where I am referencing this little tool that I made. So this is literally just a meat skewer, or vegetable skewer, whatever you want to skew with food. And I just tied some string to this little skewer. There are just 3 little strings that I've knotted on here just so that it doesn't slip off. And I made them a variety of lengths so that they are not all the same length. And I even unraveled the tips, but with the ink they're sort of now clocked together. So I'm just going to separate some of these filaments again so that they're not so solid. And then we're going to play with our acrylic inks because it's such a wonderful medium. It's very intense, it dries quickly, and it is water soluble, so it's not such a big mess as ordinary ink that is more oil based and permanent, and it can be a big mess. So I know I can be a messy stylist, listen to me, a messy artist is what I was trying to say. And I do like acrylics where I can wash my hands afterwards and see clients at the salon and not have ink stains all over them. I don't like wearing gloves because I'm allergic to latex, so I do like things that's just easily removable with soap and water. So there we go. So as you can see, it's got a very nice tattered texture. So I've got a number of just ordinary office paper here, and I thought today is a good time to come in and just showcase to you guys how I play on a page and create a master copy that you can photocopy and then have multiple sheets of paper that you can play with in your collage. So without any further ado, I am going to dispense my ink, and then I'm going to just shut up and play a little bit on my page and create a few pages. And I invite you along with the journey, and hopefully it's helpful to you, inspiring to you in some way. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys are going to do with it. So let's get into it. Right, I've dried those pages and that sure was a lot of fun to express myself there with some ink and some uncontrollable line or mark making. There's something about not being able to control everything that creates beauty, because we just allow things to arrive on the page and we accept it. It's not about control and forcing. And in this way, you sort of learn what the tool can offer you, and you can create either chaos or organized lines with an uncontrollable tool like the one that we've just played with. So I wanted to show you as well, as we page through this, how I further develop these pages to become beautiful and interesting collage elements. I really love the controlled chaos. It almost looks like nests. It's really beautiful to me. And I wanted to play with some of these a little bit more. So I wanted to maybe stamp a bit of circles onto this one. So I'm going to just switch to a different medium because I already have two that sort of looks the same now. I thought of using this bottle cap and just stamping however that looks onto this page. And just accepting whatever forms it takes. It's uncontrollable. But later, when it becomes a collage element, then suddenly, you know, it has so much potential and beauty. And when it dries and you use it as a collage element, sometimes you go, wow, how did you do that? You know, and it was by pure chance or accident or happenstance, lucky me. And I like to sort of give papers the opportunity to become something else, something that you haven't thought of, and it opens you up to experience creativity and playfulness and how it comes together on your page in a whole new way. I like the way that this bottle cap is giving me both a circle and a dot, and that random happenstance is something that you can't plan for. But once you sort of get familiar with your tool, then you can capitalize on that, is a way of saying you can use it to your advantage. I also like to go off the page a little bit so that the page is opened up. It doesn't have a white border around it, because sometimes it's a beautiful little piece like this that you want to tear out and use, and you know, sort of going to the edge of the page opens you up to actually utilizing that little piece and not having to cut even more. So that's just some of my thinking behind this creative play. So let's put this aside to dry. I'm just going to dab all this red ink into my backing paper so that it doesn't stain my next page. And I'm just going to throw my ink back. I'm done with the red for now. Now, an interesting thing, when you photostat, you will see that red photostats very well. It actually comes out black, you know. So that's another thing you can learn as well, is that red, when you take out your color filter, will show up as a very dark black. So if it helps you to create a page with a bit of contrast using the red and the black, then that's definitely something worth knowing, right? Okay, speaking of which, I'm just going to pick that up, and I've got a nice little brush here it's actually from Germany, and it is a bit of a longer brush, and they have cut into it, so there's a little bit of fine points and tips there that's really, really nice. And I like to play with this little brush to bring in more finer details. That sort of adds to this whole vibe that we had when we started this page. But now it's in a little bit more of a controlled way. I made one earlier, but I sort of used parts of it in collage already. And I was like, oh, I should have made a copy of that. And now I'm sort of just using the opportunity to create another one. And what I liked about that one is it sort of had these interesting square lines that I found interesting to play with. So there's thick lines, there's thin lines, there's lots of lines, there's little lines. All the varieties that you can possibly think of on one page is one way to create a collage element that is interesting and gives you a multitude of opportunities to have a piece that you can play with in a collage. Now what you can do is just use your inks or your pens or your Kokies or pencils and doodle inside some of these spaces to further develop this page. But I'm also going to show you, once this is dry, how I play with my oil pastel to also add another element of beauty. So let's go ahead and do that now. So on a page like this, it's dry, so we've got some lines, we've got some texture, we've got some value. I like to sort of come in and really pump up the contrast and maybe add something different, because this is all linear lines and I've already created one that is perfectly linear. So let's go ahead and add something interesting to this page. I'm going to use the side of my oil pastel, and I must just hold onto my page because I'm pressing hard so that I've got a nice clean print or impression of my oil pastel, and bring something organic and different to the straight lines that we've had up until now to this game, and see where that leads me. Maybe go off the page a little bit. That's interesting. I'm going to use a lighter shade. You know, just playfully. It doesn't have to be anything except line and form. So that's one way to develop the page. Let's see. I think I want to further enhance this nest-like vibe. Seeing that I've got some ink out here. And just continue with some of these shapes and further develop it. Just wanted to develop the centers of these nests a little bit more. And because I'm working on like office paper, it's not precious, so it helps me to express myself and to play and to try something new, because it's not 100 rand for a sheet of paper. You know, you can buy a whole pile of papers for that, and just express yourself and find sort of marks that makes you happy and explore more of that. And that is one way to really get into what is interesting and beautiful for me, and how can I take that to my art journal and explore more of that beauty, explore more of that mark making and combinations of it. And that way you help to develop your own style, your own voice, and your own joy in what it is that you are making, because you are actively searching for something that sparks joy in your soul. So that is the ultimate thing I'm ultimately always looking for in a page, is something that sparks joy, that is like exciting for me to try. And when I've made a beautiful or a successful combination of these things on a page, I find these little zones that is really particularly beautiful, and I expand on that. So that is really one way that artists find something unique and beautiful, and then sort of go down that rabbit hole. And in the end, you know, you look at a series of paintings or pages in a book and you go, how did they do that? How did they come upon this idea? And really it was just play and experimentation and trying something new, and not being afraid to give expression to, you know, what you feel in the moment, and allow that to unfold and explore that in a new way going forward. So there's nothing like good old splatter and ink blot or spot to add some interest to a page. So I hope this is helpful, and that you've learned something from it, that you found some inspiration to go ahead and create your own pages. It doesn't have to be ink, it can be anything. So look around you and see what you already have that you can start with and begin there. I really don't believe that art doesn't have to be an extremely expensive journey. It can begin with, you know, simple things that you would maybe give a toddler. Try, you know, very cost-effective art supplies to just begin your journey in creativity. And sometimes it's a good thing to start right there where you stopped, and that is in our very young stages of development of our creativity. Maybe you were a toddler or a teenager, and it's good to go back to that age and to nourish that inner child, and to give the crayon back into that inner child's hand and say, you are empowered, young Padawan. And begin to play and have fun, and not be so serious about producing product. I think it is something that is limiting us, especially as Westerners, because I think in the East we play a lot with creativity, and we continue to develop that. But that's just my opinion. I'm not you know, stating it's a fact, but I do know this, that most adults that have a creative block has suffered some kind of creative trauma in a younger stage of their life, where they either were scolded for being wasting time in being creative, or not being good enough, or being criticized and said, you know, oh God, whatever that is, it's not beautiful, your sister draws better than you, or whatever the case. Maybe you compared yourself and you realized, maybe I don't do this as well as others. And when you convinced yourself that you are not creative, that's where you stopped being creative. So, you know, going back to those art supplies that you would give a toddler, it's maybe some Plaka paint or some ordinary wax crayons like this, and just give yourself permission for 5 minutes on a piece of ordinary office paper to just express yourself. It doesn't have to be anything, it doesn't have to represent anything. It can literally just be some raw marks that you make, and give yourself permission to express yourself, and then just sit with that for a bit. And when you start to do more of that, it becomes interesting, and you try new sort of marks and ways to express yourself on a page, and before you know it, you have begun a beautiful creative art practice journey that you once believed was impossible or reserved for other artists. So I really hope this sparks some joy and possibility within you, and that you will rush home or grab a piece of paper right where you are in the office right now, and take a pen and just go for it. So if this is you and you are new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell, because I do bring out weekly videos to help people develop their creative heart. And then also join my Facebook group, The Creative Heart, and share your art with us. Share your creative exercises and pages with us, and that's where I can support you on your creative journey. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys real soon. Bye bye for now.